There are different types of atrial fibrillation. You have some people who are in atrial fibrillation permanently, and so it's chronic and it's there all the time. And you have other people who have an irregular rhythm that comes and goes. And some of those people might find that there are things that trigger them to go into the irregular rhythm. They might make their heart go fast and beat irregularly. The obvious, most famous ones are things like caffeine. So people talk a lot about if they have a coffee or if they have a sugary drink or an energy drink, that's the sort of thing that gets their heart going fast and might predispose it going into the fast irregular rhythm. There are also other conditions that we know make it much more likely that people will go into atrial fibrillation. Having a heart attack, for example, having any form of heart surgery. It's very common to go into atrial fibrillation after heart surgery. There are other medical conditions that make it likely, things to do with blood clots in the lungs and inflammation around the heart, so pericarditis. And the other one that people need to be aware of is alcohol. So heavy alcohol consumption will famously put people into atrial fibrillation. If you've got atrial fibrillation and it comes and goes, it's worth being aware of the things that are more likely to trigger you going into a fast irregular rhythm. Cut back on the alcohol, maybe not drink as many energy drinks or caffeine as you used to, because if you want to avoid it going into that fast irregular rhythm, then that's the thing to do, is to avoid those things that make that happen. So anything that increases your heart rate, I suppose, it is possible that it could cause atrial fibrillation, but the benefits of exercise, for example, would outweigh any risk that it might trigger a fast irregular heart rhythm. Atrial fibrillation is divided up into people who've got permanent chronic atrial fibrillation, whose heart is always in that irregular rhythm. But the majority of those people might not know they're even in that, because the rate of their heart rate might actually be fine. It might be around 80 and they might feel just like you or I. So those people, they don't have any symptoms of their AF, so the triggers aren't as important for them because the heart's always in that rhythm anyway. For the people who've got atrial fibrillation, that is what we call paroxysmal, it comes and goes, they might feel the heart, if it goes fast, and so that's where the triggers are really important, because if they know what it is that triggers them to go into a fast heart rate, it's the speed, it's that fast heart rate that tends to be the thing they feel and develop the symptoms of. It's not so much the irregularity, but it's the speed of it. So that's where triggers are important. So someone who is told by their doctor that they've got atrial fibrillation and they've probably had it for some time and they don't know about it and have never felt it, then it might be that caffeine and alcohol is not as important to them, because it hasn't had an impact on their speed of their heart rate. So in general, atrial fibrillation is symptomatic if it's fast. And that's in general. You'll have some people who will feel it even if it's even if they've got a slow heart rate, but in general people are more symptomatic the faster their atrial fibrillation. Those people who feel it are definitely going to get a benefit out of reducing things that trigger their heart rate going fast, and that would include caffeine and alcohol. There'll be some people though who don't know they're in AF and haven't got a fast heart rate. But really, everybody should probably be mindful of the amount of alcohol and caffeine, that they take, because of the other health advantages of not overdoing either of those things. So even if they have said, well, I drink coffee all the time and it doesn't make my heart go irregular, there's a limit to how many coffees someone should have in a day, and there's a limit to how much alcohol people should drink.